This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Calls are mounting for Transcona Councillor Russ Wyatt to step away from City Hall. Wyatt appeared at Council Thursday, a day after police say he was charged with sexual assault. Allegations his colleagues say are causing a distraction to the work they're trying to do. CBC's Cameron McLean reports.
Excuse me, I'm going to my council meeting. Thank you.
Transcona Councillor Russ Wyatt showed up for work on Thursday against the wishes of the mayor and many of his council colleagues. He refused to answer questions from reporters about a sexual assault charge, which police announced the day before.
Are you going to step aside while you deal with this?
Again, I would ask you to talk to my attorney. Thanks, guys.
Many council members said Wyatt's presence takes the focus away from urgent council business.
Ward work will continue. He's got an assistant. Again, this is a big distraction. I think he should step back and let the rest of us do the work.
The City of Winnipeg Charter doesn't allow council to remove members facing charges. Only a conviction for an offence carrying a maximum sentence of 5 years or more would trigger automatic removal. Councillor Evan Duncan says Wyatt deserves his day in court, but in the meantime, he should step aside.
Regardless of the outcome, to put yourself in a position like this where we're having to deal with this now, it's public, city councillors should be held to a higher standard.
This is the second time Wyatt has faced allegations. Police arrested him in 2018 after a woman accused the councillor of sexual assault. That charge was stayed the following year. During the meeting, Daniel McIntyre councillor Cindy Gilroy showed her disapproval, turning her back when Wyatt got up to speak. She says the law should be changed to allow council to suspend members with pay until the charges have been dealt with.
And as somebody who's a woman, you know, these are something I take very seriously, and I think everyone should feel safe going into work.
Mayor Scott Gillingham agreed the rules should be changed.
In theory, a councillor could be charged, convicted, even incarcerated for 2 years, and still be permitted to be councillor. But if you miss 3 meetings in a row, you can't be councillor. So I think that there's certainly some room for improvement.
Right now, there's little anyone can do to force Wyatt to step away from council, but it's clear many of his colleagues here at City Hall wish that he would. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
There was surprising testimony this afternoon at Winnipeg's police headquarters inquiry. A former project director for Caspian Construction says after they got the contract, the former mayor and CAO asked for millions of dollars. CBC's Bartlett Kivas breaks down what we know about the allegations so far.
Sean Babakanians is a former project director for Caspian Construction, the contractor on the Police HQ project. On Thursday afternoon at the inquiry, he was asked about a February 2011 meeting between his father, Armick Babakanians, who owns Caspian, and former Winnipeg Chief Administrative Officer Phil Shiegel. Sean Babakanian said his father came to his house about a week after Caspian was awarded an initial construction contract on the Police HQ and told him Cates and Shiegel wanted $4 million.
Can you advise us what you recall of your conversation with your father?
He came to my house and told me that Sam and Phil wanted $4 million, and I said no, and he left.
And did you ever hear anything more about this over the period of time that the contract went on?
No, ma'am.
According to court documents and an exhibit presented to the inquiry, Armick Babakanian sent an email to himself in 2011 about a conversation with Shiegel. I think he wanted 2 + 2 for Sam and Phil, Babakanian said in the email. Manitoba's Court of King's bench determined in 2022 Shiegel accepted a $327,000 bribe from Babakanians. In 2023, Manitoba's appeal court noted Shiegel shared half the money with Cates, but noted the former mayor is not accused of wrongdoing. In February at the inquiry, Shiegel testified he didn't ask Armick Babakanians for 2 + 2. Cates testified he had no knowledge of a conversation, and Armick Babakanian said he didn't know what 2 + 2 meant. As today's Police HQ session was about to close, Shiegel lawyer Evan Reutenberg rushed in and sought standing to cross-examine Sean Babakanians. The younger Babakanians testified he didn't take notes about his meeting with his father and didn't know verbatim what was said between his dad and Shiegel. That led Inquiry Commissioner Garth Smorang to ask Sean Babakanians if his testimony stands. He said yes. His father asked him about a request for $4 million. Bart Lekivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A former downtown university and college building is being turned into transitional housing. The high-rise at the corner of Ellis Avenue and Colony Street is already housing homeless people. As CBC's Josh Crabb reports, people started moving in months ago.
This building is being turned into a place for people in desperate need of housing. Madison Basenko, a student at the nearby Winnipeg Adult Education Center, hopes it will keep people off the streets.
Because it's winter and homelessness is an issue, a big one in the city, and they deserve a warm place to stay as well.
The Manitoba government set aside $24.4 million to buy and renovate the former Providence University College and Booth University College building. It's being turned into 118 transitional housing units for people who are homeless or living in encampments. Gino DeStasio, an urban geography professor and interim president at the nearby University of Winnipeg, supports the move.
For transitional and supportive housing, it hits the mark.
The building has single and double dormitory-style rooms, which are currently under construction. But around 50 people are already staying here, and it's being staffed by workers from Nadinawaymak, an emergency overnight shelter set to close next month. Nadinawaymak's executive director Frank Parks declined to comment Thursday, but he confirmed some people who had been staying at their shelter at 190 Disraeli Freeway are now staying here at Webb Place. He also confirmed some of his staff members are providing support to homeless people staying here. 190 Disraeli is being turned into a navigation center for people looking for a place to live. DeStasio says it's important to normalize welcoming people into all neighborhoods, no matter what kind of housing they need.
If we all use that not in my backyard kind of approach, we'll never solve the true problem of making our city open and accessible for everyone.
I feel like anything that will help the community is a good idea.
With living costs going up, Basenko says buildings like this one are important to help people struggling to get by. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Cooking, budgeting, and learning about bills. They're a few key parts of adult life, but they're also skills that Manitoba foster kids say the system is failing to teach them. It's part of a new youth-led report where too many kids say they're being set up to fail. CBC's Mike Arsenault reports.
A lack of life skills, lack of supports, and feeling discarded by the system. That's some of the feedback from a new report developed by the Youth Ambassador Advisory Squad with the help of Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth. It focuses on the well-being of kids in the child welfare system and relied on the experiences of people like 17-year-old Lindsay Hunter-Bear. She feels like CFS doesn't listen to youth about their needs or their concerns.
And we're here to be heard, not to for adults and the government and CFS to make us feel small, which being in the care over the last 17 years I've lived has made me feel small.
The 78-page report is called Truth of the Youth. 17 kids in care were interviewed about how the province can improve the system. Many said they feel like they're set up for failure and aren't being taught basic life skills like how to grocery shop, cook, clean, or manage money.
Being a healthy adult requires a healthy childhood. You want to make transitioning out of care better? How about start with fixing the system from the very beginning, from the moment that we are apprehended?
Many participants say life after foster care was focused on surviving, not living, and there were rarely transition plans in place for them. The advisory squad hopes the solutions in the report will be implemented for the benefit of kids in care.
Something that will improve constantly and that will guarantee that the youth that exit care from that point forward are able to succeed in their future.
The report recommends more consistent, trauma-informed care built into the system. It also suggests stronger screening and vetting processes for foster parents and teaching youth in care about their rights within the system. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Nice to see a lot of sunshine really right across the province today. That's all thanks to high pressure that's parked over the northern prairies. That is coming to a very brief end, though. There is some weather on the way. A quick little impulse starting to push across Saskatchewan. We've started to see some of the cloud cover from that rolling into Manitoba. This does bring a fairly good chance of flurries into western parts of the province tonight, but more like a slim chance of flurries into the Red River Valley. That clearing, that high pressure, keeping temperatures on the cool side today. -7 the daytime high today in Winnipeg, -8s, -9s through parts of Westman this afternoon, and still minus double digits even toward the end of March now in northern Manitoba. Churchill not getting out of -23 territory this afternoon. So we're looking at a low of -15 or so in Winnipeg, a slim chance of flurries through the night. One more cold night with minus double digits. We'll wake up to a chilly morning again, very similar to today. We'll get some clearing as we head through the early morning and back to a mostly sunny sky through the afternoon. Maybe a bit breezy at times through the day, but back up to -5 through the afternoon. Temperatures like this don't stick around. I'll have more on a bit of a warm up when I come back.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Coming up, it was an account she says she never opened, but yet the bill was racking up. More on the telecom fight one Winnipeg woman says went on for months. Bills are racking up for one Winnipeg woman, but she says the bills aren't hers and she's been the target of fraud. A Rogers account was opened in her name without her consent, and the company claims she's on the hook for hundreds of dollars. CBC's Mike Arsenault has that story.
I've been doing this since July 2nd.
It's been a long and trying 8 months for Christina McKay. Last summer, she noticed her credit score took a big plunge. When she looked into why, there was a $1,300 debt for a defaulted Rogers account. The problem is, the account isn't hers.
Rogers' line continuously is that I lived in the building that this account was opened in, and therefore I must be responsible because the account holders who did incur the debt are saying that I'm their family member.
McKay says the fraudulent account was opened in an apartment complex she lived in almost 10 years ago and in a different suite. She says Rogers has been trying to convince her she's responsible for the account.
They sat there and then went, well, are you sure you didn't forget? And then said lots of people forget that they've opened accounts.
McKay reported the fraudulent account to the Winnipeg police and filed a complaint with the Commission for Complaints for Telecom Television Services. Rogers replied to that complaint in an email, saying McKay didn't have the authority to dispute the account because it wasn't hers. The complainant has expressly confirmed that they are not the account holder and are therefore not authorized to submit a complaint on behalf of the account holder. But when she tried to dispute the debt with Equifax, Rogers told them the account is legitimate and the debt is McKay's.
They're telling me I don't have any authority to complain about how this is being handled or about the fact that I'm being held responsible for something. And then on the next hand also saying, well, you're financially liable. You should be paying this debt.
After CBC contacted Rogers Communications, McKay says her debt was removed from her Equifax file the following day. Winnipeg police confirm they are investigating the fraud claim and say the case has been passed along to the Financial Crimes Unit, but say these investigations can take time. McKay says Rogers should reevaluate their fraud policy.
I really hope that through all this, they'll examine that and they'll start working with people more instead of fighting them.
Rogers Communications told CBC their team was looking into the issue. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Allegations of police misconduct led prosecutors to make a plea deal in a cold case. Kevin Q was charged with second-degree murder for the death of 24-year-old Crystal Saunders. She died in 2007. He was arrested in 2024 following a police sting. In court, Crown prosecutors say how an officer may have conducted himself during other undercover operations impacted his credibility and reliability as a witness. They say it was the driving force in making a manslaughter deal with Q. Lawyers on both sides plan to ask for a 12-year sentence. An Iranian refugee family hoping to settle in Winnipeg say they're in danger. The government approved their request to move to Canada, but the process has been stuck for almost 2 years, leaving them stuck. Now the family says they're at risk of being deported from Turkey back to war-torn Iran. The CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco has that story.
Leila Shazabar's family is holding on to the promise for a new beginning in Canada.
They can have their own belief, their religion, and build a life here.
Shazabar's uncle, his wife, and 2 children left Iran in 2014 after they say they were persecuted for converting into Christianity. They claim refugee status in Turkey. Almost a decade later, Canada accepted an application from a group to sponsor their resettlement in Winnipeg, bringing Shazabar closer to a reunion they have been longing for.
Yeah, I'll just hug them. Oh man.
That dream might be slipping through their fingers. The family needs to undergo a medical checkup, biometrics, and an interview to get status in Canada. But almost 2 years later, the wait continues. And now the family is facing deportation to Iran after their permit to stay in Turkey expired.
I don't want them to go back. It can't happen.
Elodie Furaha works with the organization sponsoring the family's case. She says a wait like this is rare, and that delay is putting the family's life at risk.
They saw the light at the end of the tunnel, but now where is the light for them right now? It looks like it wasn't the light that they are coming out of the tunnel. It looks like it was a train coming to crush them.
IRCC declined to comment on the family's case, but a spokesperson says processing times change based on demand. Security checks are also outsourced to a third party, meaning little to no control on timelines. Still, Shazabar says their family is desperate for answers. Shazabar's uncle was arrested by Turkish officials in early March, and the rest of the family is hiding.
Tomorrow morning, what will happen? What will happen? Like, will I wake up with a message that they are gone?
Shazabar is asking the government to speed up the process, hoping one day the decades of waiting for a hug with them ends. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, Riley, back in now. And I was just saying that I keep trying to woo spring with wearing, lighter colors and, socks and just like some nice slip-on cute shoes. And I'm failing miserably.
Yeah, we're not quite done with it yet.
No, still snow on the ground.
Still snow on the ground. There's maybe a bit more coming in the long-range forecast as well. So maybe keep the socks handy, Brittany. All right, so with that, maybe a bit of an announcement for you on where exactly we are. The last time I showed this where are we in the seasons map thingamabob that I have here, we were at Spring of Deception. Think back to just a week ago, we were looking at temperatures around 14 degrees in Melita, for example. Where have we come now? Well, we're now at the third winter with a little bit of confetti. Don't worry, I'll clean that up later. I'll grab the broom after the show. This is because before we actually get into spring, we do have a bit more of that chilly weather and a bit more winter weather yet to come as well. So our upper level winds, the jet stream has slipped a little bit further south and we're into a bit more of a zonal flow now. So that's taking some of that Pacific moisture and carrying it across the Great Lakes, parts of southern Ontario getting into some heavy rain, even some thunderstorms this afternoon. Replaced in the west by some cooler air that's nudged its way in from the Arctic. So that's why things have been a little bit cooler as we've gotten throughout the past couple of days, aided in part by high pressure that has built closer to the surface over the northern prairie. So as that continues to push south, we will get back into some sunnier skies, but a weak impulse pushes across southern Manitoba as we get through the night tonight. I'm not really expecting much out of this, aside from maybe some scattered flurries in the Red River Valley, back into parts of Westman, though. This is likely a couple of periods of light snow, pretty scattered in nature as we head into the evening. So as this high moves in as we get through Friday, similar to today, we'll get into a bit of clearing, although still a little bit of extra high-level cloud built back into parts of northeastern Manitoba. So this could mean a bit of a cloudier day for much of northern Manitoba tomorrow. And then as we head into the weekend, again, another quick impulse pushes across the Interlake. Not much accumulation with this one either, but there is another ridge that's building to the north that could cool things down slightly as we get into the weekend again, although temperatures do start to moderate as we get into the weekend, at least for the southern half of the province. So starting tomorrow morning, back in the minus double digits again. Normally for this time of the year, our overnight temperatures, our early morning temperatures should be around -7, so more like -13 to -16 across southern Manitoba, and still in the -20s first thing in the morning into northern Manitoba. And we could be looking at a bit of a wind chill with a bit of wind in there as well, particularly in the north. So we'll try for -5, bit breezy into the afternoon tomorrow. There's a bit of a warm up coming into the weekend, up to 3 degrees for Sunday, and I'm watching a system that could bring us some snow and rain into next week.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
We have much more ahead right after the break. Stay with us. U.S. President Donald Trump has extended his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. On social media, he said talks with Iran were going very well. But is that really the case? Sasha Petrusik has details from Jerusalem.
The big question again today is whether the United States and Iran are negotiating to come up with some sort of a deal that would end this conflict. Donald Trump was really doubling down on his message that talks are going on, the negotiations are going on, but he was sounding less diplomatic. He was sounding more frustrated that Iran is still really insisting that no talks are happening. Yes, there's some contact, but no negotiations.
میخوام عرض بکنم اینکه گاهی پیام‌های تبادل بشه از طریق کشورهای دوست یا از طریق بعضی از افراد مختلف. این نه اسمش گفتگو هست نه اسمش مذاکره است.
What he's talking about is a process where Pakistan in particular has been acting as a mediator, passing messages back and forth between Washington and Tehran. Now, all of this, though, is happening in a situation where the fighting is continuing and Donald Trump is issuing more threats of his own. He also says Iran is now begging.
They are begging to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to do that.
Now, Trump issued a warning today, too, saying that Iran better get serious soon or it won't be pretty. He posted that online. It hasn't been pretty. The conflict has been continuing here in Israel. There have been sirens going off all day. A number of Iranian ballistic missiles have hit here. Most of them have been shot out of the sky, but not all of them. People have been killed and injured. And Israel has been hitting Iran with their own airstrikes. They say that they assassinated a top naval commander responsible for the critical Strait of Hormuz. And one interesting point about the negotiations, though, is that apparently 2 names have been taken off of the hit list. Iran's foreign minister, the one who was speaking earlier, as well as the Speaker in Parliament. These 2 are expected to stay off of this list because they could be the main negotiators if, in fact, talks continue towards some kind of a peace deal. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Jerusalem.
NATO says Canada is now spending roughly 2% of GDP on national defence. It's a NATO commitment Canada has not met since the end of the Cold War 3.5 decades ago. Mark Carney hailed the news, speaking in Halifax.
For the last 10 months, Canada's new government has been working with unprecedented speed and scale. In 10 months, we have invested over $60 billion in our defense and security.
He was announcing new military spending in Atlantic Canada and the country's military as a government priority. The benchmark was a commitment many NATO countries had previously not met. The CEO of Air Canada has apologized for his English-only message of condolence after Sunday's deadly plane crash in New York. In a statement, Michael Rousseau said, "Despite many lessons over several years, unfortunately, I am still unable to express myself adequately in French. I sincerely apologize for this, but I am continuing my efforts to improve." But despite Rousseau's apology, Quebec's National Assembly has now passed a motion adding to the calls for him to resign. Air Canada is subject to the Official Languages Act, and one of the 2 pilots killed in the crash was a Francophone Québécois. A display of honor and respect to show you now for those 2 pilots killed in Sunday's crash. Two hearses arriving at a New Jersey airport where dozens of Air Canada pilots and some family members paid their respects. 30-year-old Antoine Forêt from Quebec was captaining the jet when it crashed into a fire truck on a runway at LaGuardia Airport. Mackenzie Gunther of Ontario was the first officer. The plane has now been removed from the tarmac and the runway reopened. Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre may be back to trading barbs in question period, but recently the tone between the Prime Minister and Conservative leader has been quite collegial. The CBC's Kate McKenna explains what might be behind that.
It's back to business as usual, with the Conservative leader and Prime Minister sparring in question period.
Same old Liberals, same old failures. Why is it that after this Prime Minister promised that he'd be the first, he's the worst in the G7?
Yeah. This country's created over 80,000 jobs since August. Let's look at what's happened to wages in this country. They are growing the highest in years.
It's an apparent end to a brief and unusual window, the Conservative leader offering public praise for the Prime Minister.
We disagree on our politics, but we're both fathers. We're both proud Canadians, and in that sense, I think there's a mutual respect.
Saying repeatedly when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, the two leaders are working in tandem.
Even in my visit down here, I'm sending him text messages to tell him what's going on, to try and support his work.
I look forward to meeting with him to report on my findings, to compare notes.
At this week's National Prayer Breakfast, they shared a moment before Carney shouted out Poilievre's favorite philosopher in his remarks.
I know there's some Stoics in the room, so I will close by channeling Marcus Aurelius. Arise for the work of humankind. Be humble. However grand you are today, or maybe to become tomorrow, you too will be forgotten.
It's part of, I think, a pretty significant strategy change for Poilievre.
Veteran political journalist Paul Wells says Poilievre is adapting to a new political reality.
He was on the record as saying that he would do almost the exact opposite of everything that Justin Trudeau did, which makes sense when he was dealing with a very unpopular opponent. Carney's more centrist than Trudeau was and is more popular.
In recent weeks, Pierre Poilievre has shown other signs of change, doing interviews with a wide range of media outlets, taking a stronger position on Donald Trump, and promising to cooperate with the Liberals when it makes sense. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
The federal government has introduced a new bill aimed at protecting elections in Canada.
Violating Canada's electoral integrity is a serious act that requires meaningful consequences. And so we are giving the Commissioner of Canada Elections additional tools for effective compliance and enforcement.
Bill C-25 would ban digital deepfakes of candidates. It would also expand protections against threats of foreign and domestic interference. The legislation also takes aim at long ballots. That's the stacking of ballots with independent candidates. It's a tactic that's been used as a form of protest against Canada's first-past-the-post system. The International Olympic Committee has banned transgender women from competing at the Games. The new policy will require athletes to undergo genetic testing to determine if they're eligible to compete. The CBC's Karen Pauls has the details.
No, it's gone out the back door. Laurel Hubbard was the first openly transgender woman to compete in the Olympic Games. She didn't win a medal. At the 2024 Paris Olympics, two boxers competing in the female categories both won gold in their weight classes. Neither are transgender and both have always competed as female, but a year earlier they were banned from the World Championships over a gender eligibility test.
One of the things that we like to see, especially in sport, is fair and equal treatment of everyone on that field of play.
Now, a new IOC policy says eligibility for any female category is limited to biological females, determined by a mandatory one-time gene test.
But at the Olympic Games, as you know, the smallest little bit of an advantage can be what makes you a gold medalist or not.
Take, for example, Caster Semenya, who has higher than average levels of testosterone for a woman and has won 2 Olympic gold medals. While there are exceptions for athletes with rare sex development disorders, most will also be banned.
I think you really do need to have a sport by sport and frankly, athlete by athlete process, and I think that would be fairer.
Last year, the Alberta government banned transgender girls from participating in amateur female sports. It applauds the IOC's move.
I'm glad that International Olympic Committee follows Alberta's lead to protecting females in sport, to keep sport fair, safe, and accessible.
With this executive order, the war on women's sports is over.
Shortly after taking office, U.S. President Donald Trump banned transgender women from competing in women's sports. Some say the IOC bowed to that in advance of the 2028 LA Games.
It is U.S. administration, I'm sure, from where there is a lot of mobilization.
The IOC says this new policy is effective going forward, and it won't be looking back to see if any other athletes would have won medals if these eligibility restrictions had been in place. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife made their second appearance in a New York court on charges of narco-terrorism.
Free Syria from these walls! Free the prisoners! Free them all!
Crowds and critics and supporters of the former Venezuelan leader gathered outside the courthouse, where a hearing was held on how the couple's legal fees will be paid. Maduro and his wife are accused of running a cartel within the Venezuelan government that flooded the U.S. with cocaine. Both have pleaded not guilty. U.S. forces captured the two during a nighttime raid in Caracas in January. A delegation of Russian lawmakers has arrived in the U.S. for talks with members of Congress. It's the first such trip since Russia invaded Ukraine more than 4 years ago, and comes as the war continues to rage. Russian drones have attacked Dnipro, which is an industrial hub. One of the drones struck a 4-story residential building, which ignited a fire on 2 floors. 5 people were injured in the area. Up next, a Winnipegger living with vascular dementia shares why she chose to access MAID on her upcoming birthday. That's after the break. Stay with us. Medical assistance in dying, or MAID, is making headlines since we learned Manitobans are being denied MAID at a rate that is 5 times greater than the national average. In addition, Alberta is proposing its own tougher restrictions on when people can access it. Earlier, Marcy Marcusa sat down with 78-year-old Winnipegger Bobby Knowles and her partner of 30 years, Kathy. Bobby has vascular dementia, is losing her words, has tremors, and falls. On her birthday, on April 23rd, Bobby has chosen to have medical intervention to end her life. She says the decision brings her relief.
You know, what I've experienced out there is very interesting, because when people get into a place that they feel that they can't stand what's happening for them, they often commit suicide. And then it seems that we live in a culture that if that happens, family members, of course, they're sad, but I think they also feel shame.
And for you, then, you were going through what you were going through with your disease,
right? And
feeling you wanted control over what your end would be.
Yeah, and I honestly wouldn't be able to commit suicide. I don't know if I'm a chicken or I just your death shouldn't be a shame. Your reasons shouldn't be shameful to you and your family.
What a powerful way to word that. When you made your decision to have MAID, was there a moment for you in your journey with vascular dementia, or when did you actually decide that?
I had a date, and it wasn't not that. It was.
It wasn't April initially, right?
No, it was in January.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I realized that we had a great grandson coming around that time. And so I didn't want to screw up all the works. And so I pushed it forward.
I think Kathy's going to help you with something here.
You did first talk about MAID when you noticed your symptoms starting to get worse.
Right.
Which was about 4 years ago.
Right.
Got it.
And the other thing too, actually, going further back, I was doing contract work, and I was up in Shabatawa, and I had a report to make, and I called Kathy because I couldn't remember what I was supposed to put.
So 4 years ago,
yeah,
you really made the decision already, started thinking about MAID?
Yeah, it wasn't, I didn't worry about it anymore. It was my life plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that like for you to leave, to tell people and to have them react?
Well, I'll give you an example. I contacted my youngest child to come here, and she did, and she was the first one that I told. And she, right now, is engaged in visiting my oldest daughter, who had early onset Alzheimer when she was in her 40s. Yeah, and she's in a home care place. And so when I told my youngest, to be honest with you, I sort of expected that she would be sad. And she burst out crying and said to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you made that decision."
So part of this maybe is, maybe she shares what I know that you've shared with me, is you knew you personally didn't want to go down the path of living in a medical facility.
No, because Kathy put it really well, is that every time you go there, you got a redo of your grief. Every time you go and visit her. I just went and visited her a couple of days ago, and I'm still rattling inside from it.
So you've made this decision for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all of the above.
Do you know what your death will be like, Bobby?
Yeah, yeah.
Where you'll be and who will be there?
I'll be here. Kathy and I will be here, and our dogs, because I believe that the dogs will know, and I don't want them looking out the window for me all the time.
Do you have moments where you're looking forward to this, or is it sort of looming somewhere for you?
No, I'm not looking forward to it.
How do you frame it?
I just go along day by day.
Like there's no dread, is there fear?
No. No.
Is there still relief like there was when you made your decision?
Oh yeah, I'm glad that's coming.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
All right, Riley back in now. And Riley, we've talked a lot over the last few days, really since that calendar shift to spring, quote unquote. I know it is spring, but just really setting those expectations, because we sometimes forget that we can still get snow and worse when it comes to spring here. It is Manitoba.
Yeah, even into the early parts of April, we've seen some of that. And we'll likely get into unstable weather into the next week or so. I'll take you through some of the long-range models in a moment. First, let's take a look at your dog walking forecast. And I think we have someone here who really enjoys the winter weather. This is Idji. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you, Joelle, for sending this picture in. And this is, by the way, a 5-year-old Manitoba mutt who is part husky, which of course comes with all of the attitude as well. So thank you for sending this picture in. Please keep sending your dogs to talkback at cbc.ca, where I will be eagerly awaiting them. Up to -5 in the afternoon. Very similar day tomorrow to what we saw today, with a bit of cloud cover first thing in the morning, and then that quickly clearing out into a mainly sunny afternoon. Things perhaps a bit breezy at times tomorrow, but we'll inch closer back towards seasonal by the time we get into the afternoon, that seasonal being around 3 degrees. So some of that cooler air, like I was saying earlier, part of this zonal flow with the jet stream just south of the border that's keeping some of that warmer air to the south, and some slightly more stable, cooler air into our neck of the woods through the prairie provinces. But there is some change coming as we look at the longer range models here. And again, this takes us out into the next 5 to 7 days. A lot can change between now and then, as I always say when I show this, so just take this with a bit of a grain of salt. So you can see as we get into the weekend, we do get under some slightly higher pressure. That should also help, since this is south of the border, bump temperatures up slightly as we get through the weekend. But as we get into early next week, you'll see a low pressure system developing to the west. This particular model actually pushes this one south of the border. Nonetheless, this is giving us some precipitation through sort of the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame across southern and central parts of the province. So maybe a bit of winter weather yet to come. I'll keep my eye on this. A lot can change between now and then, so it'll take a few days for things to sort of refine themselves with the longer range forecasting. So overnight temperatures close to -15, really right across southern Manitoba. Could get close to -20 through parts of the Parkland into Swan River overnight. And temperatures -22 in Thompson, down to -27 with a bit of extra cloud cover into Shamattawa and along the Hudson Bay coast. And that cloud cover could help to keep temperatures back tomorrow, close to -16 for Churchill, but -7s and 8s in northwestern Manitoba, where we will have some sunnier skies through the day tomorrow. And in southern Manitoba, looking at -single digits through the afternoon, could get to -1 in Melita through the afternoon, -4s and 5s through the Red River Valley. And Brittany, lots of sunshine to be had as we get through the day on Friday, with a bit of extra cloud cover into northwestern Ontario.
All right, thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Winnipeg police seized more than $500,000 worth of drugs yesterday when they raided a home in Osborne Village. Officers descended on a house on Roslyn Road just off Osborne around 5 a.m. A 37-year-old man and 36-year-old woman face several drug trafficking and gun-related charges. Police recovered a handgun, ammunition, heroin, cocaine, meth, and fentanyl. City Council has just voted to improve road safety on Wellington Crescent in the long term and the short term. The long-term solution includes spending more than $5 million on permanent bike lanes on the popular route. But those won't be built until next year. In the short term, Council approved a plan proposed by Sherry Rowlands to lower the speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour as soon as possible and restrict some left turns on Wellington. Personal care homes in Manitoba are getting a $5 million boost to their grocery budget. The government says it increased food funding after getting feedback from PCH residents, including a call to expand meal options and include more fresh fruits. The CEO of the Simkin Centre says food is much more than just nutrition.
A resident recognizing a dish that they've loved for their whole life. Someone staying at the table a little bit longer because they're enjoying the meal in the moment. Those moments really matter, more than people often realize.
The government says the money can be used to buy and prepare culturally appropriate meals. Still ahead, a very good boy heads off into retirement. What made this pup special? When we come back, stay with us. A robotic arm is helping deaf students access science and technology lessons that are hard to deliver in sign language. The device has been introduced to students in Kenya, where it was built.
Through Zoom, you can be here, and somebody teaching from far using robots can be able to explain and type using the laptop, and you can be able to understand much more better.
The new system converts teachers' spoken words into sign language gestures. Those gestures are expressed through a robotic arm with the help of special sensors. The technology is also being tested in Switzerland. Similar projects exist in countries such as France and Vietnam.
All right, you know what? I thought I'd take a look at our sunset tracker tonight because if you're looking for some longer days, well, there's a bit of a treat for you here. So tomorrow, looking at that sunset happening at about 7:52, but look what happens in a week from now. We're already past the 8 o'clock sunsets, 8:03 by April 3rd, and approaching 8:30 even by the time we get post-Easter, about 3 weeks or so from now. So those longer days are coming. Here's your 7-day forecast. So a bit of a warm-up coming as we get into the weekend. +3 by Sunday, at the freezing mark by Monday with a mix of sun and clouds. And there's a system that I've been watching there, as I mentioned earlier, through the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe that could bring us some snow or rain, and then things cool down once again below the freezing mark after that. So winter not quite done with us.
Not quite done.
Well, a dog in Australia is being hailed as a very good boy and even a hero, Brittany.
I mean, aren't they all?
Yes.
Now he's entering a very well-deserved retirement. Here's your Daily Lift.
Let's go find.
Okay, this is Bear, an 11-year-old Australian coolie. He's retiring as a koala rescue job. Yes, that was his actual job.
Now, he is credited with saving the lives of more than 100 koalas that were trapped by bushfires. He was actually one of the first dogs in the country to be trained to do just that. Now, after a decade of service, he is taking a well-deserved break. His handlers say he is moving on to a quieter life on the Gold Coast.
You know what? It always amazes me what dogs are able, what animals really are able to do. We see them in, you know, rescuing people from rubble, sniffing them out. In this case, it's really amazing.
Yeah, and how we can train them.
Right? Man's best friend for sure. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Bye.